People First podcast is a show presented by the people with learning disabilities for our friends and a community. We will talk about issues that are important to us and interview interesting guests to find out new information. This is our way to make a difference.
Hello everybody, today to the People First podcast. We are excited to welcome writer Saba Salman and Shaun, one of her called Karen, in her newest book made possible. Welcome Saba and Shaun, we really hope you enjoyed the show and thank you so much for speaking to us. What made you decide to become a writer?
Oh, thanks, Daniel, and thank you to everybody for inviting me and my colleague Shaun on this morning. So I've always loved reading and writing and books, so I love stories. And when I was at school, I had a teacher who was really supportive and he encouraged me to write. And the reason I went into journalism is because I'm very nosy. I like finding out about people's lives and I like talking to people and meeting new people. So it was a good mix of stories and writing and asking questions that meant I decided to be a journalist and a writer. So that was my way in.
You have attended events to speak. Could you tell us more, please?
Yes, absolutely. Shaun, do you want to do that one? Because you and I have done quite a few events together, like today's.
I've attended a lot of events on different topics in my life and in my job. I got a lot of life experience and life experience. Yes, I do agree with that, but I could be a bit nosy. I could be a bit nosy too. But in my work, I use a lot of I talk about my life experience from living independent, my sexuality, my employment, living independent, and making information accessible, and good and bad experience working in employment. I got a lot of life experience, and I talked about my bad experience in events around. I'm doing a project. My idea from I had an overdose because of my medication because I couldn't read the information on the labels. Because I went to events to promote that, I believe making information on labels bigger and accessible. It will give people like us independence, and we are included. That's why I use a lot of my life experience, good and bad, to make a difference at all different events I do public speaking in or do training in. And I could put my opinion across to people. I use my voice too a lot. Like I went to an event a couple of months ago called Deaf and Dying. My friend and my new manager, she was hosting an event called Deaf and Dying. It was about with patient, when you if you could bring back to life, called respect. And what I did, why you not think about why you think about using people's voice on video? Not everybody can read and write. I put that across to the board. The lady who won it was quite surprised, but why not? That I like to give the prizes because I like to use my independent voice. And a day later, a People First got in touch with me about it. They liked my idea about making the videos about what about your wishes. If you want to be back to life or die, I know what I want. But but it's difficult to write it down, and I don't trust paper or document. It can be changed. That way, I felt confident speaking up in different events and different conferences for using my life experience. I got a library of life experience in my head. I can pick and choose what to use. I can pick and choose what different issue I can talk about. Like taking a book out. I know what book to take.
What is the Community Living magazine all about, and who is it for?
Well, Community Living magazine is a friend of People First, and we have featured this fabulous podcast in the magazine. So that's the advert bit for both the magazine and your organisation. Community Living magazine comes out every 3 months, and really it's for anybody who's interested in learning disability issues. And the whole idea of it is to show that people are equal. People have the right to live in communities. They have the right to get the right support for them and to thrive where they live. It's about inclusion. So the magazine showcases a lot of great projects that give people the chance to show how they can shine, how we can all shine when we get the right help and support. But also we write about the challenges that mean why people are not getting the right opportunities. I took over editing the magazine a few months ago, and I'm loving it, really. It's that combination of the good stuff and the harder stuff, the challenges. And it really is a community of people. So self-advocates, family members, professionals. Really pleased to be there. Great question.
I've been in the magazine too. I've been in that magazine too, promoting my bigger label project. And I've got two ideas. I've got two ideas in autumn too to talk to Saba about. I feel when I'm working with Saba, I'm included, I'm listened to, and I'm respected. And she's my friend. And I feel she's not ticking a box.
I think one of the things, thank you, Shaun. I feel the same way. We have a mutual fan club, me and Shaun. One of the things about the magazine is the idea that it is also a platform for self-advocates, as well as, I suppose people who other people might think are the experts. We know who the real experts are. It's people with lived experience. Shaun is right. Shaun has contributed an article to the current issue, which is all about his health project, which is fascinating.
What was your favourite piece you have done from magazine on newspaper?
That's a great question, Daniel, and it's also really difficult to answer. What is my favourite bit of writing? I think, if I'm honest, it would have to be the book, made possible working on the book with my family and with all of the fantastic contributors like Shaun. So that would be my top one, my favourite project that I've been involved in. The second one is probably the interviews that I've done for different magazines and newspapers. And I'm very biased, but I have to say one of the best interviews, the ones I enjoyed the most, was with Shaun, just after Shaun won his MBE for campaigning and for his human rights work. And we met up in Leeds a long, long time ago. I can't remember how long ago it was now, Shaun.
The 70s. I know after 2015, because I got my MBE in 2015. I feel I think it was about 2016 or 2017, one of them time period. I feel that, when we met.
But I love writing up interviews because it's a chance to really spend time with people and find out more about their lives. So that was my favourite bit of writing. And the reason I mentioned the book is because it was not only a chance to get to know people better and work with them to help tell their life stories, but I also got to think a bit more about my own family situation and what it's like as a sibling supporting my younger sister who has a learning disability. So there was a personal element in the book. So that would be my favourite type of writing.
What is your biggest inspiration?
Oh, yeah. I feel like, this is a very interesting one. I feel it's working with everybody who want have the same goals as me. Want to have people, giving people like ourselves a forest to be included, to empower other people, get into jobs, to live independent, have proper relationships. That make me and inspired me to do what I'm doing now, because I don't do it to benefit me. I do it to benefit everybody else, to inspire people to be a role model, because people with learning disability need more role models in their life to inspire them to do what they want in their life, from having a job, to have a relationship, to live independent, to have and to do public speaking and training. They've got other people like myself. I'm doing it for people like yourself to be a role model. I'm not doing it to benefit me. I'm doing it to benefit you. That's what inspires me. I'm just being honest.
So in terms of who inspires me and who influences my work, I would agree with Shaun, definitely. It's the people that we work with who are the experts, and, you know, people who help me produce the articles and produce the writing that I do. And the biggest influence, I would say, as well, is my sister. So my younger sister, Rana, has been a huge influence on my life. And the older we've both become, and seeing how she is growing in her independence. So she lives in supported living now. And there was a time when we didn't know, we weren't sure what her future would be. And things seemed really quite tough. But to be able to see her become more independent, have more choice and control in her life, and learn new things and do new things. She's a great baker. She loves baking, for example. I'm rubbish at making cakes and biscuits. She's amazing. So she's a huge influence on what I do, definitely.
Can I add to that, if you don't mind, please? My mother and my friend Saba, my mother is a big influence in my life, because I feel like I really can make a difference for their lives. My mum be her best friend to me, and her mother, she don't believe in wrapping me up in cotton wool. She wanted me to have a fight, to live independent, to be included. Because my mother have argument with other mothers and parents about don't believe the wrapping people with learn to swim in cotton wool, because you stop them living independent and you're making them vulnerable down the road. That's why my mother inspired me to be the man I am now. If my mum were wrapping me up in cotton wool, I won't be the man I am now. I won't even get it. I won't be an MBE or anything. And I won't be working with Saba. I'm too scared to work with people without learning disability. My mum went not. It's like that, thank God. My mum is a fairly independent woman.
What is your book Made Possible all about?
So Made Possible is a book of life stories by 8 people, one of whom is Shaun. And it's all about the different types of success that people have. And the book is written in the words of people themselves. So it's made possible, stories of success by people with learning disabilities. And it's influenced by my sister, Rana. So as well as talking about the big, huge success like Shaun has had with his campaigning, or the actor Sarah Gordy's in the book, she writes about her success in theatre, and we have a filmmaker, Matthew Hellers, just so many amazing people who've made huge successes of their lives. It also describes the, I guess what I would call the ordinary success. So someone like my sister Rana, who is not famous, is not a huge campaigner, does not have a podcast, hasn't won awards, but she has made a huge success of her life because she's living it the way that she wants to. So the book is also about the fact that everyone has potential, everyone has value, and actually everyone has the right to define their own success. And it also, I think, shows what everybody, so people without disabilities, gain if everybody contributes. So it really is, it's quite a joyful book, I think. It's a very funny book. Shaun's story is, it's kind of got a bit of everything in it. It's got joy in it, it's got humor, it's got some tough stuff, it's got drama. So I think it's a book that is about the positive stuff and about how people's lives are successful. People have that potential and they can contribute.
Is there an audio version?
I would love there to be a widely available audio version. We had a problem with funding, so there isn't an audio book that you can download, but the RNIB, which is the Royal National Institute for the Blind, has got an audio book version in its library. So if you have a visual impairment, you can get an audio version of the book. There are a couple of different ways that you can access it. There's a couple of clips on YouTube about the book where you can hear people reading out chapters. And we also produced a film. Shaun and I, we produced a short film about his chapter and about two of the other chapters in the book. So although it's not the whole book, you get some snippets, little short films of people talking about their lives and what's important. So there are different ways to access it, but the main thing is the print edition of the book.
How did you know to write about your sister?
Absolutely. So how did I know how to write, or how did I?
Like, how did you know she had a learning disability if you were writing about her in a book like that?
Thank you. That's such a great question. I don't think we've been asked that before. So it's really, it's a really good question. I asked my sister's permission if I could write about her life. I actually asked her if she wanted to write one of the chapters, because the way the book is produced is I write an introduction about my family's life and my sister, and I sort of talk about some of the wider themes in the book. And then there's 8 chapters which are directly written in people's own words. And when I asked my sister, Rana, do you want to have one of the chapters? She told me no. She is a woman of few words and she knows her own mind. And she basically did not want to, for whatever reason, I like to think it's not because she didn't want to work with me. Hopefully that's not the case. But she said she was very happy for me to speak to her and then to include her words in the first part of the book, the introduction. And the reason why I thought people would be interested in hearing about her life is because I really felt that there are not enough of these stories out there. So if you go into a bookshop, you'll see lots of books about how to be a success, how to find motivation, how to live your life. And they're great books, but actually there are voices missing in all of those. And I felt that my sister's voice, and I felt that the voices of people like Shaun and all the other people I've met through my journalism, where were those voices? So I felt there was a gap, and I wanted to produce something that showed people what we are overlooking. And I also felt that it wasn't good enough for me to go off and interview someone and then write up their words in my words. I wanted the stories to be written directly from the point of view of that person. So it was about the I, it was about people themselves, not just me writing about someone in my words, but it was someone's direct voice, which I think is much more powerful. So that's kind of how it worked. I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
How was the experience of writing together?
I think I need to let Shaun answer what the experience of writing and working together was like. And I just warn you, Shaun is very honest. So if it was a rubbish experience, he's going to tell you right now.
She knows me too well. Yeah, working with Saba, it was a joy because I feel like I was included, listened to, and but because I got to lecture her. She was writing everything down what I was speaking. To me, that was the best way of doing things because I want people to know about my life experience for good and bad. And Saba was respecting me and writing everything down when I was talking, and we had to. It was tough sometimes. I admit that because my bad experience with and my real dad said to me, "I will never get a job, never live independent, never get married," and all that. And I proved him all wrong. What a biggest nice moment. What I told Saba where when I met one of my ex-girlfriends and we was doing good terms. Your dad still live there, yeah, worse luck. And then what we both met, we met MBE, knocked on the door. What this dad? MBE. What? Oh, nothing new. You got a pint of beer. And then my life changed. Because of working with Saba, proving my dad wrong made a difference for me. Because I think I feel when I was working with Saba, it was amazing because I feel like we both got a good friends. I feel very comfortable working with her, and she was respecting me on everything. And just that, talking about good and bad experience in my life is very important. You can what's the word? Both sides of coin. Is that the right word? I wanted to be honest about my life, and I felt very honoured with Saba working with me on that. I was very proud working on this chapter. And I had a voice, and I will listen to, and I was included.
Yeah, can I add something to that, actually? I think working with Shaun was lots of things. It was fun. You know, we laughed. And you're right, Shaun, it was tough because there were things that Shaun was wanting to talk about in a very honest way that were very difficult to hear. But usually if things are difficult to hear, it means they need to be heard more. So the way that we worked together was we met up.
Yeah.
We spent quite a long day together talking.
Yeah.
We emailed.
Yeah.
We talked as well, I think, Shaun, about the kind of key words or feelings that you wanted people to have when they read your chapter, so that I was very aware that I did not want to just go and interview Shaun and then sit there in a little room on my own and write up his words using my own filter and using my voice. I was very keen that, you know, the words really had to be directly coming from Shaun and from each of the people in the book, because obviously these are 8 separate people, but there's just one person, me, supporting that story to be told. So I had to be very, very strict with myself as a journalist, not to just do an interview and then edit someone's words, but I had to make sure that every single chapter, was different, and that's how we did it with Shaun, I think, wasn't it, Shaun? We sort of sat. Yeah, and you said to me, these are the main things I want people to think about. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said you wanted people, you wanted to be really honest. So you wanted it to be a tough read. You want it to be funny.
It was.
And it is. It's very funny. humorous chapter, and you wanted people to feel some of the anger and frustration as well.
Yeah, that's what was said, because I wanted to all my different emotions in my life, because I worked most of my life, but the jobs I had were not nice jobs. And I'm in jobs now, I'm feeling respected, included, I got a voice, and not just that, I got a new job now, but Saba is very happy because my new manager, Claire Nitchell, told Claire Nitchell showed the book to all the office workers, or made possible. I feel like I'm so happy in my life more because I got a lot of interesting job. I'm like Saba, I do a lot of freelance work, but I feel like it's on my terms, and I feel people respect me on that. I work from home and I work in the office. The word blending working, have you heard of blending working before? Anybody? I do that. But the people know I get my work done. I'm very organised, keeping on time, and I'm very proud of that. But in the past, that were a lot difficult for me. I'll be honest, it was horrible. I was bullied a lot when I was in my other jobs. But now I use that bad experience to turn it into good. That's why I wanted to put that in the book when I was working with Saba, because I wanted to be honest and truthful. But I'm very happy my friend Saba was respecting me on that, because it's not all happy rainbows and everything. I got to be honest and was honest with people.
And I think it's worth adding at this point that Shaun and I realised when we were working together, we were born one day apart.
Yeah.
So I'm the old person in this relationship because Shaun was born one day before me. And we reckon that, I don't know, I don't go big on horoscopes. I don't think Shaun does either. But there is something, we are both Geminis. We're both communicators.
Yeah.
As part of this whole working together, we realise that we are almost twins.
Oh, I know. That's my big sister.
Why is it so important with people with disabilities having their voices heard?
It's very important for people with learning disabilities have their voice heard, because if their voice being heard, they're being included, they're being listened to, they're being respected, and their voice, and not just that, usually their life experience can make a difference. If their voice being heard, their voice is very powerful. I've been there myself. I know the people I work with who got learning disabilities, their voice being heard, it can make things better. Be listened to, included, be respected, valued, and using our life experience can make us different because our voice being listened to. Because our voice, it can be very powerful to change the world.
I think I completely agree with that. The reason that the voices of people with disabilities must be heard is because people are the experts. And as much as I have some experience as a sibling, as someone who writes about these issues, I cannot know enough or as much or know as just live that life. I don't have that authority. So for me, a bit like I was saying about the book, how important it was for me that each of the chapters was written from the perspective and in the voice of someone, their direct words. That's so much more powerful. Hearing from someone, reading the words that are by someone, not just about someone, I think is much more meaningful. And I think as well, there's something about through COVID and in the pandemic, people's voices were muted. All of us, whether you had a disability or you didn't, all of us lived very different lives. And the problem is that I felt as someone like my sister, her voice almost became more quiet. Well, it was. She sort of took a step backwards in terms of her independence. So the voices that were always more quiet or that were heard less became heard even less during the pandemic. So that's why now it's even more important than I think it was before, that it is people telling their stories, and we include people directly. People need to be represented in all sorts of media, whether it's through a podcast or being interviewed on television. And also making, I'm a bit like this in a way, kind of who's making the media, not just who's appearing on the podcast, but who's making the podcast. That sort of thing is really important if you're going to shift the representation and people's attitudes. So it's vital.
I feel like, and I do agree with you, in the COVID time, our voice was being muted a bit. But now we're out of it now. Like people like myself got a strong voice to make a difference, to inspire other people with no disability to have a voice, to be included in matters what affect them in their lives, like from employment, living independent, legislative, making information accessible, online, and using people with lived experience can make a difference. That way, our voice is very vital and important to be heard. We are humans. We're not aliens. We want to be respected, to be equal like everybody else. Our voice is very important. If people are stopping our voice, they're ducking stone age. To be honest, that's what I think. Cause our voice needs to be heard.
Why is living experience so important when writing and talking about disabilities?
I think it's linked to what we were just talking about, isn't it? That I think people themselves are the experts. Full stop.
Yeah, people we learn about expert on their life because they live it, they know it. We want to be listened to, have a voice about it. We want to be like I said early on in the interview. People with disabilities can be wrapped up in control by the pen or the support staff. We don't want that. We want to have a strong voice to be included in key musician from the beginning, not at the end. Because I just had a big, I had an interesting debate with an adult person where I work at St Mary's Hospital. He was promoting co-worker, but at the end, it was top down. I don't agree with that. We need to include people in your work from the beginning, not at the back end. To me, that is tokenistic. My manager was smirking because she heard me being honest. Because you need to include people from the beginning on everything, what will affect them in their life on different projects. That way, our voice is really important.
Thank you.
What was your favourite part about the book?
My favourite part of the book was absolutely working with people to produce it. It was the best bit. It was the human bit. It was really fun hanging out with someone whose story I knew a little bit, but being able to find out more. And the other favourite part was being able to write and really think about my sister's story and work with her to see which bits of her life she wanted to share and what was important to her. And it made me really think about what my family had experienced in terms of getting the right support, what helped with that and what didn't help.
What are your plans for the future?
So in the future, I would love to do another book. I've got a couple of ideas. I might pick up some of the themes in Made Possible around my family's experience. And the other thing I really want to do is to focus on the magazine, on community living. We've just relaunched it and redesigned it, got a new website. So it's all about growing that really, and focusing on getting the messages about equality and inclusion out to a much wider audience. So that's where I hope to be.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Me and two of my colleagues, me and two or three of my colleagues are thinking about doing our business in the future. That's one idea, but it's gonna take time. I've just got my new job. I've got to settle in and everything. We're thinking about that at the moment. And I would like to I like one of the things I would like to do in the future is to do public speaking more. I'd love to do that more. Could I speak from my heart, not my head? Because my one of my first managers said to me, when you speak for you don't like a robot. Speak for your heart, be human. And I took that advice on board. I want to do public speaking on different things in my life and different experience. And I'm very comfortable talking about my sexuality, my living independent, employment, and living in and over many topics I could talk about. I love to do public speaking. I like to do more work with Saba. Because I enjoy working with her because she's a good friend and we both think alike. And I do feel like I want to be a bigger voice for people with learning disabilities. Because people with learning disability got a right to do everything what other people can do. And that's what I want to do in the future.
Where can we read Made Possible or find out more information about it?
So Made Possible should be in every good bookshop. So you can go into your local bookshop and see if they have it there. And if they don't, they can always order it in for you. Or you can get it online wherever you usually buy your books. If you want more information, part of Shaun's chapter is actually in The Guardian. So if you're on the internet and you just write in Shaun Webster, The Guardian, Made Possible, it should come up with part of Shaun's essay, Shaun's chapter. And otherwise, you can look on social media. On Facebook, there's a Facebook page for the book. It's just called Made Possible. So if you put that into Facebook, it should come up. And otherwise, generally on social media, I tend to mention the book quite a lot, even now, 3 years after it was published. And if anyone wants any more information, you can always just ask us. We're very approachable, aren't we, Shaun?
We are. We're very approachable and very laid back.
So where would you find the website if you wanted to listen to it and everything?
So if you want to find out about Made Possible, you can have a look on my website, which is sabasalman.com. And if you want to find out about Community Living Magazine, you can just punch in communitylivingmagazine.com. And hopefully both of those things will get you some more information.
Thank you.
We've appreciated your time for today and thank you for joining, Saba and Shaun.
Thank you.
Right, brilliant. So, thanks very much, guys. I'll just open. Does anyone in the office have anything that they'd like to add? We've got some hands, so I'll unmute and I'll just, if you don't mind, fielding a few audience questions, we'll stick it on over to there.
People first.
Do you know what? I would love to do a book for every single person I've met since the book was published. It would keep me very busy. I'm certainly interested in hearing more about your work. I loved finding out about the podcast and how you put that together and why, and the other work that you do. And we did the article, obviously, for Community Living Magazine. So what I would say is please keep me informed about what you're up to, because I'd love to find out more.
I do. How long have you been writing?
God, do you know, no one has ever asked me that question before. And I'm very, very old and I've been writing a long time. I just suddenly realised no one's ever asked me that. I probably wrote my first story when I was about 6. Very long time ago, obviously. But I became a journalist after I left college. So I've been doing it for about 25 years now. So a long time.
Wow. You do very interesting work.
I think it's probably worth saying that actually the work that I do, there is just no way that I could do it if I didn't get to work with people like Shaun, people like yourselves. It's a very obvious point, but actually people like me who are journalists would not have anything to write about if it wasn't for other people helping us tell stories. Because to tell a story properly, I think you have to have the words of people themselves who are doing the thing that you're writing about.
Correct to that. I think Saba is very right about that. Because using your story for good or bad, it can make a difference. Like in my story, in Saba book, it'd be good or bad experience, but I had to be honest about everything. And I felt very comfortable speaking to Saba about that. And she's got all my words on there, and she's not edited me. I thought she really took my good or bad experience on board and told the world about it. I'll fine with that. Because I'm in a forest, and using your lived experience can make a difference.
Yeah, Saba, just a quick question as well. Like how you said that you'd put it all together, it's like how like you writ about your family and all that. Did it take you like the time that you wanted in that time?
The book, I think, took about 2 years from start to finish.
Did it take? It's like how like did it take you like many like sentences to write the whole book, or did you work way through it?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I wrote a lot more than ended up in the book, if that makes sense, because it's a bit like the podcast. So you're interviewing us and you've got, you'll have an hour of recording, but obviously you won't put all of that on there, I don't think. Or certainly not the bits where you make mistakes and say the wrong thing, but you will edit it down. So that's exactly what I did. So I ended up writing a lot more, certainly about my family story, than I could put in. But it took a long time. But one of the things I did enjoy was having the time, because we worked at a pace that everybody was comfortable with. Usually when I write an article, say if I write for a newspaper, I have to write the article in a couple of days. But this was very different. I was able to take time and work with people at a
slow pace.
Exactly, slow pace. Yeah.
Yes. It was the pace I was working. It was very good. I felt very comfortable, and I didn't feel it was rushed. It was perfect pace for me. How me and Saba were working on the chapter. It was a nice pace for me.
How did you feel when you finished your book, Saba?
Oh, I was so excited. It was the middle of COVID, so we were meant to have a big launch party. Shaun was coming down to London. Obviously, everything was shut, so we couldn't have that. But I was like a small child with a large ice cream. I was so happy that we'd finally got there. I was also really relieved, because when you're working on anything, you work so hard on it, and sometimes it's difficult to see what the end result will be. And you worry, don't you?
It must have been hard through COVID as well.
Yeah.
Because you can't talk to many people.
Couldn't meet up.
So
It was hard through COVID because I had a job. I just started. I had to work from home, and I thought working from home for managers at the time. But I'm being honest. But I had to learn new skills that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, my confidence for email was not very good. But I had to learn to learn email, to do emails, and I had to get an iPad off my mother to help me to do my job because I had an iPad which was outdated. Only thing I had a mobile phone to use for my work. But I learned new skills from doing emails, doing Teams, and Zoom. I know COVID was bad, but it was some silver linings in COVID. It helped me to be the person I am now. Working from home and working in the office, I feel I'm very confident now because of COVID. But it was hard to listen a lot of time too, I have to admit that. But lucky for me, I could talk to my friends and family on Zoom and my friends at work to keep me in the loop and everything.
That's all we have for time today. What a great interview, and big thanks to Saba and Shaun again for speaking to us. Good luck for the future, and we hope the book continues to do well. Do either of you have any else to add before we sign off and end the show?
Yeah, I thought it'd be a pleasure talking. It'd be a pleasure for your interviewing us. I feel very, very proud for me and Deborah talking to you. We feel like we are making a difference every day. Thank you for listening to us. I feel a bit overwhelming, but I'm very happy you listen to us and will listen to yourself. Thank you very much for today's interview.
Thank you, Saba, and thank you, Shaun.
Thank you so much. Really loved speaking to you all, and fantastic questions to put us on the spot. So absolutely loved it. Thank you. One thing I really enjoyed was where it felt like more of a conversation. So I think what's great about the questions is when you ask a question and it makes you think of another question, which I think, Shannon, you did that, and that was really fun. And I also really appreciate the time that you allowed us to speak, because quite often I think I've been in interviews, or I know that maybe when I was younger, I've done interviews where I've really sped things up. I've tried to get the answer really quickly, and actually it's really nice to have time and space to sort of think before you speak.
I thought the question you asked me was very good, very good. We could add other questions to it, and I thought you were respecting me and listening to me, and I didn't feel pressured. I felt very comfortable with your questions, very good questions, and I like how you do your podcast. You give people time to think, because I don't. If I'm being rushed, I'll feel it too much pressure. But you did it rush us. Very good. I like.
And it was really nice actually having the questions from all of you guys in the office as well.
Thank you.
Shaun, I think we've appreciated how you've worked with us here, and Saba too. So like how you put it all together, and like you've known each other for a long time now. But how like you put the book and that, I like how like you produced it and you've told us how it all works, and that's how I think Shaun's done very well with you too. So I appreciate
thank you very much. Thank you.
It's good interview today, and I say thank you for People First and Shaun, and have a good day.
Oh, that's lovely. You guys too. It's been really fun.
We've all been appreciated, like how we've all been speaking together today on this podcast. I think we've all appreciated you too, how it all works. Yeah. And Shaun, as you were saying as well, how like it works out with like when you sat down and how that works. I love how it all gets together and it works out, and then you bring it all to this podcast. I think that's all worked out for us today.
Well, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Really loved it. Take care.
Very good.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, Adam.
Bye.
Remember to like, share and follow the show on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can find us by searching for the People First podcast. Thanks for listening.